Need everyone's prayers this morning. I've been well paid for my trip a long time ago. I was paid tenfold yesterday already. Didn't even need to show up today didn't even need to feel it to already count it as a good weekend and well worth my time. You know, I can't help but look over at that little room right there and I watch these little kids come in and out of it, and I can't help but think back, you know, at a little church up in Michigan, a little country church. You know, in the back of that little church house, there was a little room on the side, right on the back of it. And me and Brother Brandon and Sister Rachel, we were just little. We were just real young. And do you know that we would all gather in that room and we would just play. And do you know that we would get carrying on and louder and louder till us kids, we would hear the footsteps of one of our parents and thought, oh, we've done it now. You know, I've just been sitting over there thinking, well, now it's your kids. Sitting over on the side, playing in their little room, hoping that maybe Mom and Dad wouldn't hear a little bit of a loud noise from time to time. You know that God, He is so good to us. And do you know that? And you know there may not be many here, but do you know how blessed that you are? That do you know that it says that God, He will give the increase, but pray ye for workers. And do you know that you're already blessed with the workers that you have? There may be a few, but how many of them are preaching, brethren? Do you know you're already ahead of the curve today? That you have what you need. You have the tools that are, and I'm not here just standing here to praise you. I'm just here, as you say, pouring out my heart this morning, letting you know that the tools, they are there, and they're already ready this morning. Do you know, brethren, you may not feel like you got up and did a whole lot. Do you know that I've witnessed, brethren, get right up here in a pulpit and never speak a word, but tears just begin to flow. And do you know that the crowd and the sisters begin to shout all over the place? And do you know it's not within your words that you can express to people, but it's in a spirit that we can't even comprehend this morning that would. And do you know that the brethren from Shiloh, that they are nothing like us, have a completely different background, but do you know that the Spirit, it bridges any gaps that this world would put it between us today, that God, He's not small today. He is able to preach His word. Guess what? If we don't, the very stones would want to cry out for the glory of my Father today and the goodness that He has.
That's right.
You know, I don't even know how to get a blessing when I'm up here. But one thing I've learned is that I can knock myself out of blessings. That if I would not come in the right way, I don't know if God would bless me or not. But do you know that I can sit there and say, how many times do we want to go through the motion? And I wouldn't even let the Lord, wouldn't even let Him move in. I don't know how to get a blessing, but I know that I can knock myself out of plenty of them.
That's right.
Do you know that you need to desire the Lord? That you need to seek Him out a little bit, that you need to try to grab Him with everything that's in you. Do you know that God is as close to me as I let Him, and He is as far away as I push Him today? That God, He's never should come up short for me, but I'm all the time the one looking for Him, because maybe I've set Him over on the side. I didn't keep Him close enough. You know, a long time ago, and I'll tell this little story. A long time ago, there was this young man named Joseph, a brother who found favor from his father, and he had many brothers, and these brothers, they looked at Joseph, and they said that they could see that their father loved them more than the rest of them, and it said that it caused them to hate him so much that they would despise their brother. And do you know, Joseph, he would begin to tell them a little dream that he had, and it said that they hated him the more for telling told them this dream, and it said that at one point that they took their brother and they considered to kill him. And do you know that they said, let's not do that, but let's sell him over into slavery. And brother Joseph, who no doubt felt love all of his life from his father, felt highly favored. Do you know that at one point he found himself no doubt in chains and bondage, being let off. But do you know what the Bible says about that? He said, but yet God was still with Joseph. Even as he was being let off, brother, and you know, he was sold unto a man named Potiphar. And brother, he went and worked for him there. And it said that everything that Joseph touched, brother, and it did prosper. And so much so that Potiphar witnessed this thing and elevated him in the house. So he was chief among those, among those servants in the house right there. And it said that his wife, Potiphar's wife, he looked upon Joseph. And she desired him. Even in all good. The devil, he's still right there. Even when we desire to do good, the devil, he's still right there. Do you know that his wife, Potiphar's wife, began to throw herself at Joseph, and Joseph, he would have no part of it. Ran away from her. Took off running, and she began to tell lies, began to tell Potiphar. And it even seemed like maybe Potiphar even knew these things. But yet he still made an example of Joseph. And brother, and he went and he cast him into jail. And Joseph, he found himself in jail. No doubt, lifted one more time, feeling like maybe life is going his way. And now he found himself. But do you know what the Bible still says? But yet God was still with him. Brother, and God was still right there in the jail cells. Still right there where his children are crying. Guess what? God is still right there. I haven't found a place. I found the Lord down on my knees in Michigan, and guess what? God was still right there. Brother, and I moved 2 states away, and God was still right there. He blessed me to fly to Hawaii, and guess what? In that plane, when it began to shake a little bit during takeoff, I said, Lord, I'm in your hand. You do as your will. Brother, and God was still right there with me. I don't lose them when I leave my house. I'm taking them wherever I go today. He's walking with me as long as I let him walk with me. And I thank God for that today. Joseph, he found himself there in jail and found himself with 2 men. Those men began to talk about dreams that they were having. Joseph began to interpret those dreams for him. Interpret the one that was pretty good, that he was going to be released there. He told him, he said, tell the king about me when you're released. You'll be released in 3 days. And the other begged him for that interpretation. And no doubt he didn't want to tell him. My brother, and he let him know in 3 days they're going to come and they're going to take you. And you're going to be killed. And brother, and that as he said, it became so. And brother, and the one was released, and he must have forgot all about him. But there come a time in that king's life when he had him a little dream, so much so that it shook his whole world up, brother, and ceased everything. Demanded that someone would interpret this dream, and when no one could do the same, thank God he remembered old Joseph down there, and he began to tell him. And Joseph came, brother, and he interpreted that dream, and brother, and it was going to be 7 years of prosper, and 7 years of famine, and brother, and so much so like no one had ever seen, and he elevated Joseph to take care of all things, brother, and it was just as God had told him, brother, and he gathered in for 7 years, and he was head over everything, and that 7 years of famine came, and after a little while, here come old Joseph's family, watched his brothers come in, in, do you know that his heart looked upon him and he was angry a little bit? He even took one of his brothers and said, you bring me back your father. That's the only way you're going to get him, brother. And then here they come back, and Joseph had his brothers right where he wanted. Do you know that nature would want us to get revenge? Do you know that it would want us to look at the world and say, look what you've done to me. Here is your judgment. But do you know that one time God, Jesus, he came to me one time, brother, and he had the verdict in his hand. He had all the evidence that he needed to convict me. Guess what? I was guilty, brother, and I didn't deserve mercy. And do you know he still looked upon me and said, all right, I know he's guilty, but guess what? I'll pay his price today. I laid on my life so you can't take it. And do you know that old Joseph, he had a little bit of that mercy in him?
That's right.
Joseph, he had everything he needed to take revenge. But he must have had something down in his heart. But yet God was still with him. And do you know the first time that those scriptures that ever truly spoke to my heart? When I heard this little story preached, I had read it before, but you know when it set down in my heart. I have me an uncle over here in Kentucky that I guess about 7-8 years ago, or he was out logging in a tree. It fell over on him. One of his workers cut it down and it fell on him. And brother, and it looked like he wasn't even going to make it to the hospital before he died. And all the family got called in, and we were all out in the waiting room just praying and just being there for him. And do you know, down in that little hospital there was a little chapel, and we said we need to go have church, and we all, it wasn't even as big as this room right here. It was about half the size. And all of us gathered in and said, it's Sunday, we're going to have church. And do you know, they called upon his boy to step up and to preach. And I watched him get up in the stand. And he began to speak about Joseph. And he said, but yet God was still with him. And he's still going to be with my father while he's up there. And it sat right down in my heart to understand that even through troubles and trials of this world, even when death is knocking at our door, God, he still is good. And he's still going to be right there. If we would just let him take control of our lives and hold on, brother, there's nothing that my Lord can overcome today. Look to him. Seek him with everything that's in you. In God, he will be right there. Brother, and I got news for you today. I serve a good God, a God of love today, a God of mercy. That I want my children to grab onto and hold, brethren. I want them to understand that, guess what? I'm not going to be around all the time. I'm not going to be there. But I got a Father that's in heaven. Look to him. Look to him. He's got better answers than I got. Seek him with everything that's in you. And he's not going to lead you in the wrong way. God, he's good today. And that little chapel, we had some of the best meetings I've ever been in. That uncle of mine, doctors said they've never seen anything like it. Never seen anyone even survive to make it to the hospital with his injuries.
Severed his spinal.
You come up to our church and you'll see him wheel in over on the side still today. God, we don't understand his ways. We don't understand what may happen to us. But God, he is still good. He's always good. Seek him out with everything that's in you. Hold on to him. Hold on to him and look to him. And he'll never lead you astray. It says to draw nigh to me. And I'll draw nigh unto you. You brothers can go ahead and get you a song. I've been glad. I'm thankful to be here. Thankful to have spent the weekend and thought I felt good. I thought I felt the Spirit all weekend long, brother.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have traded it for a place. And
Yeah.
you know, many people, they put it different ways. The path to heaven, it's so narrow, I've never found anywhere to turn back.
Yeah.
Right.
Brother Brandon, I would put it like this. I felt what's before me.
Yeah.
And I remember what's behind me. And guess what? I wouldn't want to turn around. Because I felt the goodness of God. Guess what? Even if there's a place to turn around,